Hey, you guys, this is Earl Jones, your insurance agent with Earl L. Jones Insurance Agency. Today's guest we have to come up with the name of the show.
Okay.
I don't know, but we'll think of a name. You guys, this is Steve Remmel. Did I pronounce it right?
You did?
Oh, goody. Steve Remmel is with Legal Shield, first of all, but you've been with them for 4 years?
5 years, almost 5 years.
And you've now gone through the ranks and all that stuff?
I guess so. I mean, there's always more to go, right? But I've come a long way in 5 years. A part-time guy, didn't know what I was doing, to 5 years later, I'm helping a lot of people and making a lot of money and having fun.
Well, that's good. But the reason why he is on the show is because when you hear about his story, about how he, left a nice, what'd you call it, when I first met you, what'd you call it?
Well, I was a vice president in corporate America. I was making 6 figures. It was, it wasn't a bad deal.
It wasn't a bad deal, making 6 figures. But, okay, we got 3 things that we want to cover in this interview. The first one, let's talk about why Legal Shield.
Well, I was in human resources.
Okay.
And I was gravitated to human resources when I was in college. I liked helping people.
Right.
And so it just naturally flowed from there, even though I was a history major. I found myself
Back
working
up.
in
You were a history major?
Yeah, I was a history major.
What school did you go to?
Davis. Went to UC Davis.
UC Davis.
Yeah,
Okay,
went to UC Davis. Very good, small history department. And I thought, well, I'm going to be a history professor. Don't think that happened. I had trouble learning another language, so I wasn't going to become a history professor. But I was doing all these jobs that were helping people jobs.
Right.
And I didn't know those meant they were human resources jobs because they didn't call them human resources jobs.
What did they call them back then?
Oh, personnel or student counselor or student crisis coordinator or, administrator, all these other words. Right. And that's why I was doing these things. I was actually managing people at 20 years old. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed helping people. So Hewlett-Packard came calling, and that led to a 25-year career in HR through different companies, different roles. I specialized in compensation and benefits. I had a great time, but I got laid off twice in the last 5 years of those 25 years.
Wait, back up. You got laid off twice.
I got laid off twice. The 20 years in, I got laid off when the downturn hit in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't see it coming. Pretty much lost everything. It was devastating to me. I was out of work for 10 months. And then I spent the next few years scrambling to kind of sort of get back to where I was before in terms of pay and title. And you have to sort of crawl your way out of it.
Right.
So I got back to the title and the pay and then, here I am. And I got laid off again. And so I said, okay, that's it with corporate America. I'm kind of done. And quite frankly, I was getting too old, too expensive, and corporate America really didn't want to touch me anyway. So I started consulting, but I'd never been in business for myself. So here's tip number 1 of the day. If you've never been in business for yourself, you don't know what you don't know, just like anything else you've never done before.
Right.
You don't know what you don't know. So I figured out pretty quickly I didn't know how to get business. In 25 years of corporate, business had always been given to me.
Right.
And now I had to go out and learn how to hunt. I didn't know how to do that.
So you were not in sales.
I was not in sales. I didn't have that background. So if you're in sales, I think it's easier to make the transition to being an entrepreneur in most cases.
Right.
There's still things you don't know, but it's a little easier to transition. So Legal Shield saved my bacon, literally, because about 4 months into consulting when I began to realize I have no idea how I'm going to get work. I'm using my network, but how long can I do that, right? I need to make money for a long time. My kids in college and all that. And so I found Legal Shield, right? Found me. It had been offered as an employee benefit at my last employer, the one that laid me off the second time. So I knew what it was. I knew it was solid. I hadn't actually used it, but I knew it was a good product, and I knew the employees really liked it. They liked the identity theft protection. They liked the legal services.
Right.
And the same person that had brought it into that company at a benefits fair called me up and said, we should sit down and talk. And that led to me realizing I could just add Legal Shield onto what I was doing. I didn't have to change anything I was doing.
Right.
I could do it part-time. It was a value-added service because, again, it helped people.
Right.
So I could share it with integrity. I used it, liked it, and so when you like something, we can all tell people about things we like that we use.
I know.
That's all I've done.
And that's all you've done.
And at some point, about a year later, I began to transition to doing more Legal Shield and less consulting because Legal Shield was more fun. I was making more money. I could help more people than I could as a consultant.
Now, Legal Shield, because I didn't know about Legal Shield until I met you, but what does Legal Shield do? You mentioned identity theft protection and
legal services.
Legal services.
So put simply, Legal Shield connects families, employees, small business owners with a full-service law firm in their state.
Oh.
That allows them unlimited access to that law firm for pennies a day, or in a business owner's case, maybe $1 or $2 a day. And you utilize that law firm for big things, little things. And the other thing that we do is identity theft protection. And we provide the most comprehensive product in the marketplace, because we not only monitor your information and give you advice consultation, but we will restore your identity if you become victim of identity theft over and over and over. And these services don't have any hidden fees. There's no surprises. There's no upsells. There's no cancellation fees. So when I market it, I know that when I say to somebody, this is what you get and this is all you pay, that's what they're going to get and that's all they're going to pay. And no one's going to come back to me later and say, well, you didn't tell me about this.
Right.
So I've never had any negative surprises from marketing the services.
And so that's important. A company that when a company says it's going to be this, and that's what you tell the person, that's what that person expects. But it's important for business owners to have something like this, because my company, we just started offering cyber insurance, because the reality is that there are people out there that will steal people's identities. And then go out and do bad things. And so we now have to start, the insurance industry, are starting to insure businesses against that.
It's really important.
Right.
It's really important. And that's something that, in the true B&I spirit, that's something that I can share with my clients and refer them to you for.
Correct.
Because we don't offer identity theft protection for business owners. We offer identity theft protection for individuals and families.
Right.
And we have insurance as part of that, but it's limited to those audiences. So, great thing.
Correct.
That I can share.
Yes.
That's
Cyber
awesome.
insurance is a new threat.
Yeah.
And now also terrorism insurance is also becoming big on the market as well. Because we live in a new day and age, a new time where the internet makes it possible for people to get access to data. I just told a fellow colleague of mine, she's traveling to Mexico, and I said, honey, just simply leave your laptop at home, because unless you're going to invest in a VPN and additional security protocols, there's just no point in you having a laptop in Mexico working.
Yeah, it creates a risk for you.
A huge risk.
So you're right. So identity theft can create financial losses for a business owner. Terrorism can create financial losses for a business owner, and so you have to have insurance. For
Correct. You got to have insurance.
Absolutely. No,
but it also creates a loss for the end consumer as well.
Right. Now, the world is definitely becoming a more complicated, more dangerous place all the time. I don't think it's a secret for anybody. And that's why these kinds of services are important. You have to have experts of all different kinds available to you to protect yourself. The way I like to put it is, if you're a small business owner, you have big business problems, but you do not have big business resources.
Correct. Oh, I like that.
And so you need to have that.
Say that one more time. That was really good.
If you're a small business owner, you have big business problems, because that's just how business works.
Right.
But you don't have big business resources. You can't afford big business resources.
True.
So you need affordable services that can protect you and help you grow your business. You want to be protected and empowered, but it has to be affordable.
Right.
You can't pay a retainer fee in the 4 figures just to have the same expertise and protection that a Fortune 500 company does. That's ridiculous for a business owner. You put you out of business.
It will put you out of business.
So that's why Legal Shield exists. That's why what you have exists, and all these tools are there to help a business owner be able to focus on what they want to focus on, which is their core business. And if something happens, they call in the expert and they go back to focusing on their core business.
Yes.
Very, very important.
Very, very important. So glad that you pointed that out.
Yeah.
Small businesses have the same problems as a big business, except small business owners, we have to use different resources to navigate those problems more effectively.
Right.
I just took that and just changed that just so that you guys know.
No, it's good. And affordably.
And affordably.
It's got to be affordable.
And then the other thing that I want to ask you is this. So doing that transition, talk about that time period where you went from like W-2 to 1099. Like, what was that like for you? Like, how did you get through that process? Because a lot of people that are going to watch this, are like you and like me. We had W-2s, we were making decent money, right? And something happened, and now we're trying to move forward. So can you talk about your experience?
Well, that's sure. My experience on that is 2 things. Number one, it has to be something that actually fills a need in the marketplace,
right,
and where you can actually make a profit. Right. Many people like something, but if they're really honest about it, it's really a hobby. It's never going to be able to make them the kind of money they needed to make.
Like making
knitting sweaters, or it's just or it's so crowded that you could never break in. I mean, you would not open a coffee shop today, I don't think, and expect to make a 6-figure income, because you've got a Starbucks and a Pete's Coffee in every corner. Nothing wrong with coffee, and if you love coffee and you're financially independent, well, have a ball with your coffee shop. But don't expect to make a 6-figure income consistently year after year with your coffee shop.
Unless you're doing something that the other ones aren't.
Exactly. So you got to do something that meets a need, which is what that is.
Right.
When you're doing something different, you're meeting a need that no one else is meeting. That's number one. Number two, you've got to have some support.
Right.
When I hear that somebody is going out on their own to do whatever it is, my immediate thought is you're taking a big risk. At least have a partner who maybe has some experience and some knowledge you don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Better to plug into a system like a franchise offers. And that was one of the things about Legal Shield. Legal Shield has a system of support. I didn't have to figure out the marketing videos or anything. I didn't have to figure out anything. All I had to do was learn what the resources were, be coachable and teachable, and then utilize the system. And I was making money.
I'm going to stop you right there because
Please.
you said something. You said coachable and teachable.
Coachable and teachable.
Yes, is the key. I think that is so critical that a lot of people, even when I was in B2B sales and banking, I noticed that the top performing sales reps were always coachable and teachable. The ones who are on the bottom of the list were like, well, I know that. I know it all.
Right.
And even in me, with my insurance agency, I'll be the first person to tell you, I don't know. Please teach me. Even when I'm talking to underwriters, I'm like, okay, I want to understand why you're asking me for this. I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm trying to learn so that way when I'm talking to the next customer,
Yes.
I can set the right expectations. Coachable and teachable. Was that something you just did? Or was that something you worked on? Like, because you were a VP, so a lot of people automatically assume that you're just going to be like,
Well, that's just a title, first of all. So let's be clear. The title doesn't make you any money. Second of all, the way I got to be a vice president was because I did make a lot of mistakes when I was younger. I can think of many instances in my first 10 years in corporate America where I wasn't the best team player, and I did some things that were arrogant, or I ended up stepping on people's toes or making assumptions, and people gave me feedback. Mm-hmm. And I was just smart enough to listen to them.
oh, good.
If I hadn't listened, I would have made those same mistakes again, and I never would have become a vice president.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
So that's the first thing, is to move up in anything, regardless of how you define moving up. You are going to have to be coachable and teachable, and then to stay there, you have to be coachable and teachable. And that is something that I've noticed in other industries, and what was including my own. People will reach a level of success, and then they'll begin to believe they know it all. What is that? Don't read your own press clippings. You've got to be able to stay humble enough
Right.
to say, just because I've reached whatever the pinnacle is, I still need to remain coachable and teachable, because that's what got me here, and there's still things I don't know, and there's still things I need to learn. Oh, and by the way, I can't teach something I haven't learned. So to remain a teacher and a coach, I have to be teachable and coachable.
Yes.
So the most successful people in any industry remain that way. I mean, look at Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett.
He still reads. He still is open to advice from others.
Yes.
He still stays abreast of things, and he's always open to new ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy's a multi-billionaire.
Multi-billionaire.
So it's the same thing. So that has helped me a lot. And every once in a while we screw up and make a mistake, and that's actually it's a good reminder to us that we maybe aren't being as open, teachable, coachable as we need to be. And hopefully we take the clue and we, course correct.
How long have you been? So before I go to my next question, so I really want to drive this home. Coachable and teachable. I can tell you from my own personal experience being in B2B sales, it wasn't until I hired a personal coach that I actually broke 6 figures.
Oh.
And, an income generation.
That doesn't surprise me.
And even through my setbacks I've had as being a business owner, it's been, it's because I'm like saying, I get it, and listening to other people that I've been able to bounce back, and now we're shooting videos, and now I'm asking people to do interviews like this, and now I'm just doing other things that in the past, I've just been too scared to do.
Sure.
So I appreciate the fact that you said coachable and teachable. That is delicious.
Well, and also get a coach.
Get a
coach. Find a teacher. Absolutely. In fact, within Legal Shield, there's a lot of teaching and training. It just kind of comes with the system. If you have a franchise, to me, the best franchises give you access to people who are willing to coach you and teach you without charging you. Because you're already paying for the franchise, right?
You're already paying for the franchise,
so the coaching and the teaching should come with, and you shouldn't have to just go to the annual convention to get it once a year.
Amen.
You should be able to call somebody, get a training video, ask a question, get on the phone, and learn all the time from the experts who have already been down the path in that franchise. That's what you're paying the access for,
right.
Not just the branding and the marketing and the name. And that, to me, differentiates the really good franchises from the ones that maybe aren't as quite as good.
And so was the being coachable and teachable how you've been able to sustain and grow over time?
It's been a huge part of it. That and then there's just the willingness to keep pushing outside my comfort zone. You know, if you, I do a lot of reading and a lot of good audio, all different kinds of books, and all of that pushes me to change and to keep redefining where my comfort zone is and then step outside it.
What book are you reading now?
Right now I'm reading You Are a Badass by Jen
Oh,
Sincero.
yes, that's a good book.
It's a great book. And
that's
so
a
is her
great
other
book.
one, You Are a Badass at Making Money.
Yes.
So I recommend the audiobooks because you can hear her voice. She reads them and reads them well. Now, there is a little bit of language. She's a bit irreverent, so you got to loosen up a little bit. But she's trying to get you to laugh so that you'll relax and you'll learn faster. That's just her style and her tactic. I think it's brilliant. And she emphasizes having coaches. She emphasizes tapping into others, not doing everything yourself, so that you can make big money, so you can be a much, much better version of yourself, and do the things you really love and really good at. And no business is just the things you love. Every business contains things you don't like or aren't good at, and so you've got to figure out what those are and farm them out, delegate them, all the rest. She really gets into all that in there, and it's true even in Legal Shield.
It's even true.
I'm sure it's true in insurance.
That's true in insurance.
In farmers.
At farmers, yes, it is.
That's why you need a team, you need a staff, you need an office,
staff,
all those things. So whoever is watching this, I would say you've really got to spend the time to define those things, and there's a lot of resources out there that will help you to do that. You don't have to sit down with a blank sheet of paper and just figure it out. Get some books. The 12-Week Year is a great book. And there's a number of other ones that really give you some systems. And so find the things that work for you and then apply them, but don't feel like you have to recreate it from scratch.
You really honestly don't. But I will confess, you know, I sometimes do feel like I have to recreate it from scratch, and then I have to go, slow down.
Okay.
Stop. Like this morning, I Googled, how do I make $1 million as an insurance agent? And let me tell you, it was stuff that I already knew to do. However, but it was so refreshing to go back and reread it, because sometimes you feel like you're taking one step forward and 2 steps back.
Right.
And I was like going, oh, so grateful that I just Googled that, because it was things that I'm already doing.
Right.
But it also gave me an insight to tweak it just a little bit differently, And I'm just so grateful that learning spirit, or whatever you want to call it, has just been.
It's awesome. Good for you.
Well, yeah.
Well, we change and grow. You can read one book, right? And 2 years later, if you've been changing and growing, you'll read the same book, and you'll swear there's stuff in the book that you didn't read the first time. Who changed the book? Well, no, the book didn't change. Obviously, you changed. So The One Thing by Gary Keller. You could read The One Thing at once a year for 3 or 4 straight years, and if you're changing and applying it every year, that book would be different. Same thing with Think and Grow Rich. I've heard people say they have read Think and Grow Rich annually for 5 years, and every time they read it, they find stuff they didn't read the first time. Every year they read it.
Wow.
So that's someone who's growing and changing.
Correct.
And that's what you did. You went on, and you saw stuff you already knew, but it reminded you of some things.
Correct.
Maybe some of them you weren't doing, but
Something
you knew
I wasn't
them.
doing. Yeah.
And you could start doing them now.
And I'll be extra transparent, because Ed Myatt is who I watch on my YouTube videos as part of my morning thing. And I don't know who the man is, but that man just resonates with me, and I just really connect with him. Okay. Ed Myatt, I'll include a YouTube link, right? And so I just forgot where I was going with that. Oh, vulnerability. In one of his videos, he was talking about being extra vulnerable. So I'll be vulnerable. It's like sometimes, it's like I honestly just feel like, but when I read that How to Make $1 Million in Insurance Sales, it just gave a simple formula. And the thing that was missing for me is that I'm not seeing enough people. So, now the question becomes, how do I see enough people? How do I grow my audience enough to where I'm talking to enough customers so I can get enough quotes out to help people get things done that they want to get done? I'm not trying to sell people stuff that they don't need.
Right. No. Never.
No. If you don't need it, I'll be the first one to tell you. Right. But there are enough people out there that are looking for an insurance agent who will sit down and go through their entire lives and come up with a plan of protection. So when things go south, they got options.
Right. And in the process of doing that, you build trust with them.
Correct.
They're not going to buy every product from you right away. They're going to buy one or two, and then
three.
it goes down.
Exactly.
The same thing happens here. Usually a business owner will say, okay, I've got these problems. I say, well, here's how we can solve them with the Legal Shield legal plan or with the consulting services that we have that are add-on. So we solve that one problem, right? And then I say, well, what about your employees and your family? Why don't we protect them?
Correct.
Now they can have the personal plan and they can offer it to employees. We take it a step at a time. You build a relationship.
Oh, that's right, because you can offer them as a benefit to their employees.
Right. But I don't walk in the door and say, let me tell you all about identity theft and all about legal services and all about employee benefits. I mean, that's ridiculous. I just wouldn't do that. I can mention we have them, but let's focus on what's keeping you up at night. Let's focus on a challenge you're having in your business. Let me see if I can solve it. If I can't solve it, I probably know someone who can solve it. Someone like you, someone a friend of mine that has payroll, or someone else that does safety training, or whatever. I've got this network of people. If I can solve their problem with one of my referrals and not get paid on it, now how much do they trust me?
True.
They trust me a lot more.
Which brings us to the other thing that I want to talk about. So you've been in BNI, Business Network International. You've been in that organization for how long?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah. It's been fantastic. Because it's taught me a lot of this. Our philosophy in BNI, as you know, is givers gain.
Great.
Givers gain, it underscores a lot of what we've been talking about, which is you're thinking about the other person first. How can I solve their challenge? Not how much money am I going to make if they buy this from me.
Right.
And so in BNI, it's how can I give you business? How can I go through my network and find people that would need cybersecurity insurance, cyber insurance. And then I say to them, I think you might want to take a look at cyber insurance. Here's why. I know this great guy with farmers and he offers it. Let me connect you with Earl.
Right.
And I give you a referral and you take it from there. Whether you do business with that person or not, I look good.
Correct.
Right? Because I was thinking about them and I gave them business and I look good to you, look good to me. So it's positive win-win.
It is a positive
Everything
win-win.
about BNI is win-win.
It is, but it's also not just positive win-win, but taking it one step that helps business, us, to be able to offer more value to our
clients. Absolutely. But it becomes more of a resource because it also becomes a methodology or access to grow and develop as a person.
Oh yeah.
And so if you're not part of BNI, and this is not to get you to join, well actually it is. You should take a look at becoming a member of BNI. Whether you're a business owner or whether you're a sales professional or regardless of your role in your job, if you want to be able to add more value to yourself, to your company, to those people around you, you've got to tap into these types of resources. You really have to invest in yourself. You really have to invest in yourself. And then we're going to wrap this up. So, Steve, if you let's say you've met somebody on the street and they said, Steve, I'm starting, and they said, hey, I want to do what you're doing. And you've already given a lot of good nuggets. But what would be 2 or 3 things that you would look that person in the face and say to them as they're starting on their journey to live out their lives, live their best lives possible?
I would say make sure that you've got the resources that you need to protect yourself and your family so you can make the best possible decisions, business and personal decisions. So we've got tools for that. Let me show you one way to get that done affordably. That's number 1. And then number 2, what are your dreams and goals? What do you want to have more of? And examine whether this business vehicle could get you there or another one would get you there. Utilize those experts to help you sort through those so that you aren't wasting a lot of time looking at a lot of things, so that you are moving forward in your life, not just financially, but in other ways as well.
Right.
And so if everybody walking around on the street every day was doing that, our world would be a lot better place.
Amen.
We'd all treat each other a lot better.
We would treat
right?
folks a lot
and we
better.
would be a lot less selfish. Because it's not selfish to say, I have dreams, goals, I want to achieve them, because you can do that in a way that lifts people up and adds value to others. And there's no shortage of resources and money and wealth. We can all win. And so find something positive that you can contribute in the world that would also fulfill you and help you be better and make more money. And I love helping people do that. There's lots of ways to do that. I'm sure Farmers does that for you.
Farmers does it.
There's franchises. There's all kinds of things. But if you say to yourself, I'm just going to figure this out all by myself. I'm going to do this all by myself. Those are 2 big warning signs. Stop. That's probably not going to get you where you want to go long term. Maybe not even short term.
Right. Oh, yes. I like that. If you feel like you have to figure it out by yourself, stop.
Yeah, you really don't need to.
Put a protection plan around yourself, and then ask what's your goals, and then find the right vehicle to help you to reach those goals.
There you go.
Yeah, because the truth of the matter is that car one may not be the right car to help you get through that jungle.
Right.
You may need an actual 4x4 with 15 inches of clearance.
Absolutely. And not everything's for everybody. We
Right.
know that. So you've got to discern and take your own counsel at some point. But get the information.
Right.
Talk to those who have been successful. If I wanted to be a farmer's agent, I would sit with you and I would go through it in great detail and ask you tons of questions. I'd probably go talk to somebody else.
You probably
and
should.
so make
yes.
a decision about
Yes,
that. Right?
yes.
Yeah.
I've actually had people ask me about the other company I used to work for, whose name we won't mention, and bless their hearts.
Yes, I'm sure they're very good company.
They are a good company.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. And there's people that make money with that too.
Yeah.
So not everything's for everybody, but thank
We
goodness
have
there's
to
lots
edit
of
this out.
vehicles.
We have to edit this out.
Edit this out.
We have to.
You're just trying to be transparent.
Oh, I'm just trying to be extra transparent. All right, you guys. So, Steve, I will put Steve's contact information at the bottom of the video because I have not figured out how to. I'm gonna wrap up with this. So this is like my third one of these, right? And there's things about shooting videos I still don't know, but I've grown tired of trying to wait till I figure it out.
Very good
So
for you.
I'm like going, nope.
Good for you.
Let's shoot the videos. We will literally build. Tracy Walker said, you build the plane as you fly it.
Very good. It's so true.
And so I'm like going, okay, so we're going to build the plane as we fly it. So if you guys, with that being said, Steve's information will be at the bottom of the video. They'll have your name, your email. Wait a minute, what's your email? How do people get in contact with you? Just tell them.
I could just tell them. So you can go to www.remmelsolutions.com. That's REMMEL, solutions, plural.com. And that's my website. I've got
Right.
videos on there and information. And then you can email me at steve@remmelsolutions.com. And those are probably the two best ways to find out more about me.
Perfect. And then I'll include the links below. That's what I was trying to say, but I'm hungry. And so with that being said, you guys, do us a favor. Like, comment, share. Share this video with folks because you guys know people that are out there reaching for their goals, reaching for their stars, and maybe they can connect with Steve. And maybe Steve's words of wisdom can give them that little push to help get them over. And by you doing that, you're helping a person to live their best life possible, which if they're your friends, that means they could probably buy you more cocktails or pay for dinner or something. Who knows, right?
Who knows?
But pay it forward, people. You guys are awesome, Steve. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Oh, that's your hand. Bye.